What the show is going on tonight? How's everyone doing tonight? We got Juice, we got AJ, we got me, Mike, and yeah, Bethany. Unfortunately, tonight not feeling spectacular. She's just taking the night off to kind of recuperate from a couple crazy weeks of work and things of that nature. But she will be back soon. But tonight we've got boys' night. We're going to be talking about all sorts of fun action, adventure, fun tropes, fun stupid movies, everyone's favorite explosions, things of that nature. We're gonna have some fun tonight. So how you guys doing tonight?
I mean, I'm doing pretty good. Sounds like we're gonna talk a little bit more like Sly and Arnie, some good man shit.
That's what's going on.
Hashtag man shit. We're gonna get that trending on Twitter. Some good man shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock. I can't wait. This is been a big fan of this guest for a very long time.
Yeah, so why don't we let you introduce him, since we know obviously it's no secret how big of a fan Justin is of our guest tonight. So Juice, let's let you have the honor tonight.
No Keytar playing the intro theme this time, but as always, the former Patriot, Mr. JTE. And there he is.
All right, there we go. Like, yeah, it's former Patriot, JTE, and I hear a click. What's up, guys? What's going on? Not gonna lie. Forgot I was doing this show tonight. Got a message saying, "Hey, about an hour, we're good to go." I'm like, "Hey, oh yeah, let's do it." Let's go. So, but hey, I was watching Justice League. Snyder Cut on my projector in 4K, and I ended part 4 about 5 minutes ago, and then jumped on here. So I'm coming off a Zack Snyder Justice League rewatch, halfway through, baby. I'm going to finish the second half after this show.
Nice.
And that movie is it's crazy. It's so good.
It's dense.
It's so much better than it was before. Yeah, I mean, it's long, that's for sure.
Well,
but man,
Cyborg, man. Like Ray Fisher was totally cheated in that movie. Totally
cheated. And just the tone, everything's just so much better. It feels like Lord of the Rings at times. Like right? it feels I remember when I saw Justice League in theaters, the cut that came out, the theatrical cut. I remember leaving the theater thinking it felt like a Saturday morning cartoon. It just felt like very fast. It was under 2 hours. It just felt very rushed and didn't feel epic. Remember when you saw Avengers?
Yeah.
And you left the theater like
ecstatic.
Like what? That is like my dreams as a child formed into a film. Like,
right.
You should leave a Justice League movie feeling like you've just witnessed something epic and cool. And that's not how you felt when you saw a theatrical version. It felt very mundane and just. So I really appreciate the Snyder Cut because it brings back that epicness, that scale, the scale that I was missing from the theatrical.
So did you catch? This is like a rewatch, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm just watching it again. I watched it when it hit HBO Max. Remember, like when it happened, everybody watched it. So I watched it there. This is my first time watching it, not through streaming, but on a 4K Blu-ray. Right. Which, to me, I have a projector and I have a 120-inch screen that I can pull down.
That's
so
nice.
To me, like I have to have a 4K because streaming. It just doesn't look good. The bigger the screen you have, the less quality it looks. So like when I watch something on my projector, it has to be a physical copy because just the quality drop down in quality over streaming, especially with like darker scenes, it's just awful. So
yeah. I got to tell you about my first viewing of the 2017 Justice League, like the Justice League as some people call it, right? So, I didn't catch it in theaters. I waited until I watched it on my phone. I gotta tell you, that's the ideal viewing experience for the Justice League because when it's on such a small screen, it's easy to ignore the baby mouth. Like the CGI errors
it's so bad.
are easier to ignore. So it's actually great for like something to watch on your phone. But that's actually kind of how I watched the Snyder Cut the first time too, because it dropped at 2:00 in the morning, and I thought I was going to watch the first act, and then before you knew it, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I work in 3 hours, but yeah, it's if you revisit the Justice League, check it out on your phone. It's easy to ignore the baby face.
All right. Well, before we proceed, we do have to remind everybody that we do have our Streamlabs, and of course, we don't keep any money that goes to our Streamlabs. We always donate everything to charity. And this month, it is to our friend Paul, in honor of our friend Paul Preston, his wife Karen Volpe Preston Legacy Fund, the scholarship that was established in her name. So all donations to our Streamlabs for tonight and the rest of any streams we have in January will be donated to the Karen Volpe Preston Legacy Fund scholarship. So yeah, everybody. We've had some real good experiences with working with Paul and Adam in the past year and a half that we've been doing this show. And
that's awesome, man. I know Paul pretty well, and I met Karen a year before she passed, and she was just one of the nicest people you'd ever meet. Just a ball of energy. Every time we met her, she was just a ball of energy. And Paul's just a great guy. I love Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're the best. And, so do you know the Legacy Fund's purpose? Josh?
Yeah, because I was reading Paul's post just like last week when they announced a new high school student was awarded the prize, and yeah, it's just great. It's just a great way to keep always be producing. That's what she said, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
sweet.
It's some great stuff, man, for sure.
It's such a cool thing too, because it's giving somebody from a small town a chance.
Yeah,
an opportunity, and that's the best thing you can give somebody, especially from coming from upstate New York in a small town where she used to live. An opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in this small town in Connecticut, and to me, I live in LA now. But living in Hollywood was like, you may as well tell me I was going to live on the moon. Right. Like, I mean, to me, it was. I had no family on the West Coast. All my family was like around Connecticut area. So for you to tell me like, oh, you're going to live in LA one day, I'd be like, you may as well say I'm going to Mars, because but the hardest step is just making that first step and just kind of pulling the trigger and doing it. And even if you come out here and you can't, you have to go back home, at least you could say you tried. At least you could say you took that step to actually go out and try it. Yeah, because I had a lot of friends from college who moved out here, and they didn't really make it. They had to go back to their hometown or back, wherever their family was. And then some of us were able to actually, make a career out here. And as long as you give it that try, you won't have to live with any regrets. So
when I was watching Licorice Pizza, it really reminded me of an interview it was the interview or something like classic in the Schmoes years ago, like 7 or so years ago, like when you were telling someone about like when you just moved to LA, and you were like, no matter what, when you go for like any kind of audition or any kind of job or anything, no matter what they say, you just say yes. If they ask you if you know how to drive a semi,
fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that like exactly kind of happens in Licorice Pizza too, or whatever.
I basically, I did. I saw Licorice Pizza, and I wasn't doing auditions, but very similar. Like, do you know how to use this software? Yes, sir. Then I go home and I watch like 3 hours of tutorials on YouTube to like how to work that software. So yeah, that's just kind of what you gotta do. If you're willing to put the time and the effort in, sometimes you gotta lie your way into a job and then learn what you can before and just try to be like, I know how to do that.
Isn't that how Bobby Gucci got through life?
So he still is.
I think, but the difference is Gucci knew how to do all this stuff. So he never had to lie.
Walkie-talkies, man.
Him walking into a bar in Atlanta with I think it was like a bag, I don't know if it was a duffel bag or a satchel, but just full of lithium batteries. I'm like, yep, that's about the most on-brand thing you could possibly ask for.
Yeah, that's the thing that happened.
So, we were going to talk tonight, since we have JT tonight, let's do, focus in on like action movies as a whole. We're going to do some fun things tonight. But like for me, in when it comes to action movies, the worst thing you can be, and it's kind of similar to what you just said, is like that you're not trying for something. I either want an action movie to be like really, really good or just try something so ambitious and fail spectacularly that at least it's entertaining. The worst thing for me with an action movie is to be forgettable. And like there are some of my favorite movies of all time. I'd say 2 of my 5 favorite movies are Die Hard and Terminator 2, and those are prime examples of action done right. But then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where you have something along the lines of a Judge Dredd that also is something I will watch all the time, but I enjoy it for very different reasons. So,
well, with it, Judge Dredd, like even at least the ambition is there.
Yes, exactly.
They tried to make a huge tentpole summer movie. It didn't work as well, but at least the money is on the screen. The ambition is there. It just didn't come together. Whereas like something like Taken 3 is just a money grab. You could tell they had no reason to make that movie.
Right.
They're just like, we're gonna do 100 edits to make it look like, Liam Neeson could jump a fence. It's just there's no reason for that movie to exist. So there's different levels to action films. Sometimes, they're just trying to cash in on a name. I think Die Hard got to that point. By the time you got to Good Day, Die Hard, it's like, what are we doing here? This is awful. It doesn't look like you guys cared.
You mentioned Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson basically has become a genre at this point. Like he's pretty much his own subgenre of action. It's like he's in the movie. You know what the movie is.
Yeah, he's the Charles Bronson of our era right now, but he's a much better actor.
Did Taken in that way, kind of like the sequels, did they necessitate a John Wick in a way? Did they create a vacuum of like, we're going to do a 5 out of 10 that we need somebody to shoot for like long cut action scenes and
No, I don't think so. I think Taken was like the original. I don't think any of them planned for that movie to be as big as it was.
No, it was a January release.
Yeah, it was a huge surprise. I think that had a great trailer. I think the grittiness really added to the film, and it was Liam Neeson's first time kind of being that hero. Whereas John Wick was made by a bunch of guys who were stuntmen for like 20 years in the film industry, and it's them basically like, we're tired of people making action movies not as good as they should be. Let's take it in our own hands and show everybody what we could really do with like great choreography, great stunts, and they were friends with Keanu because they were stunt coordinators on the Matrix films. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's a little bit different. That John Wick film was a film of passion. It was a film of like proving what they're made of. Whereas Taken was more likely like, oh, let's just get a movie made, and it just happened to blow up. And the sequels were just there because they were money grabs.
And they were cheap. They were cheap to make.
I should say, like the quick cut action style of like specifically the Taken sequels.
I think that's
a vacuum for audiences.
Well, I think those were just directors who didn't really know how to do action. Remember, the guy who directed the first Taken didn't do the second or third film. There were these other guys who I think nobody knows who they are now today. I can't tell you their name. I think with the director of the original, he showed he had an eye for action. Like he went into that John Travolta film From Paris with Love, which also has some pretty good action scenes in it. So I think it was more about, if they were smart, they would have brought him back to direct the first one, which I don't know why. Maybe he didn't want to do it, but they should have brought him back because at least I think he brought a lot to the table for that first film. Obviously Liam Neeson's great in it, but the action scenes are what really stick out when you watch it combined with Liam Neeson's performance. And those directors who did the sequels to Taken, I don't think they've done crap since. So
I forgot that the From Paris with Love guy did Taken.
Yep.
Oh shit! When was the last time you watched From Paris with Love?
When it came out in theaters.
When it came out.
Revisit that movie. It's entirely too wild.
It's insane. There's some crazy shit in there.
It's like people say like you couldn't like remake. I don't know.
Oliver Megaton. Wow, what a name.
You couldn't make that movie today. You couldn't make.
I think he went on to
Love today.
I think that Oliver Megaton guy. I think he went on to do one of the Hitman sequels. I could be wrong, but he
sounds right.
Yeah, ugh. He did 3. Yeah, 2 was awful. 3 was even worse. Like I don't know why they kept him. He must have been friends with the producers. He was probably cheap. I don't know.
they, the scripts of the Taken movie, they're like, okay, well, this one made money. Like, here, throw a little bit more. I feel like that's the case with a lot of the action movies, especially in the 80s. It's like, well, this one made money. Let's make a sequel that cost a fraction of the cost, not bring back any of the cast, and just it's cash grabs once they're in the sequel mode. Mm-hmm. And Taken 2 and 3, I think, fit that trope like extremely well. Unfortunately,
let's do more action and less budget.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I will be naming my child Oliver Megatron.
Megatron.
My last name's Oliver, so it'll be Oliver Megatron Oliver.
Oh, I like it.
Nice.
Oliver Megatron Oliver.
That and Juice Rufus. Those are my two names.
Oh boy. So now, like JT, like, so I mentioned a couple of movies there, obviously, that fit into like the really, really, really good ones, and I mentioned one on the really, really bad one. What would you say is like your favorite entertaining bad action movie? Like, it's not a good movie, but it's something that you can just put on and just enjoy the hell out of it.
It's tough because if I enjoy them, it's hard for me to call them bad.
Right, and I agree. Like, judge me. I know objectively is a bad movie, but
sometimes the budget's just not there. Right. Brandon Lee's film Rapid Fire, which he did before The Crow, is a good B action movie. Like, he's good in it. Powers Booth is really good in it. The budget isn't there. You could tell they're struggling a little bit. But his charisma, some of the action scenes are pretty hardcore. Like, that's a movie I could watch and enjoy, even though I know it's not A+ movie. Doesn't have an A+ budget, but I still enjoy it as a fun, solid action film. And it mainly gets by on the charisma and performance of Brandon Lee. But yeah, there's some good action there too. I don't know. I just dig that movie. But again, it's like if they were given a bigger budget, I think it actually could have been a really good movie. It's just he wasn't a star at that point. He was up and coming. The Crow's really what kind of blew him up.
Mm-hmm. Well, phrasing.
Well, he didn't. The bomb didn't go off.
Yeah,
Jesus, he didn't blow him up. Damn.
Wow.
So, other underrated bad action films from the panel. Let's go.
Again, like JT said, like there are so many like big dumb action movies in theory, but I can watch them and just be like, yes, like this thing just exploded for no reason. That I don't know why that happened, but I enjoy the hell out of it. I said Judge Dredd, obviously, like you look at like I'm going kind of similar genre. Street Fighter, that's a big dumb action adventure movie that is in no way, shape, or form a good movie, but I'll put that on and have so much fun watching it every single time. So that that to me is a good example of one that it's better. It's more enjoyable than the actual quality of the movie is.
You could probably say that about the original Mortal Kombat. I mean,
yeah, it's true.
It's fun. It's big. It's got a decent budget, but it's not. It's not high standards when it comes to like great action movies. I want to put it up there, but it's a fun movie to watch.
You put that on, you have a fun time every single time you watch it. That to me is what kind of defines that. And then and even the sequel Annihilation is such a train. It's such a train wreck that you get a perverse enjoyment out of it because of how bad it is. At least it's I don't know if I'd call that one ambitiously bad, but entertainingly bad.
That one was a cash grab.
So
they shot it. Half the movie's like in the desert for some reason. It's like, let's just put random people together and fight them. It was like cosplay. Like, let's cosplay them as the characters from the video game, and let's have an excuse for them to fight each other in the desert for some reason. It's like, what am I watching here?
Find your animality.
Yeah, I've also heard that I don't know 100% this is true, but there's like an urban legend. It makes sense that is the cut that got released was technically an assembly cut, and they did a test screening of it, and people said that it looked fine. So New Line's like, finally, don't have to spend any more money, just put it out.
Not surprised after.
So we
that
mentioned
movie's so bad.
a James Remar movie, and that with Raiden, and also Jean-Claude Van Damme with Street Fighter, The Quest. Are you guys familiar with The Quest?
Yeah, Van Damme's directorial debut.
Yeah, the only one that's been released so far. That's the one for like bad action movies that like just so bad it's awesomely good. I've been trying to get Mike to watch this movie for a long time.
We'll make it happen. I do have to make that one happen. That's definitely on my to-do list.
It's okay. It's not great. Yeah, it's okay. It's him trying to like redo Bloodsport in a way, but like, and it feels a little Mortal Kombat-y, but it's PG-13.
Right.
It's got some decent fights, but overall, I don't think it works very well. It's just a standalone movie.
So, like, one of the ones that to me is in that, oh my God, this is so bad, it never becomes enjoyable. I only watched it once. Ballistic X vs. Sever.
Yeah, the movie's awful. It's not even worth a watch. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend if you're watching this and never seen it, don't bother.
Don't even look it up. Like that came out when I worked at a movie theater.
So bad.
First weekend, I think that movie sold less, like the entire weekend, and I was in a fairly high. I was just out of Washington D.C., so a fairly decent market theater. I don't even think it sold 200 tickets its opening weekend.
So the thing for me is that movie is a 5 out of 10. And it's a perfect 5 out of 10.
But X vs. Server?
That might be the best review I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I would give it a 0.5 out of 10.
It's mediocre to the point where it's boring. Something like The Quest is like a 2 out of 10. But my God, you get to see Jean-Claude Van Damme fight people in stilts in a mime outfit. And he directed it.
I think Quest. I think you're insulting Van Damme. The Quest is a better movie, just production wise. And at least Van Damme. Again, Van Damme. You could tell he wasn't just phoning it in. He actually was trying to be a good director. He actually was telling the story that he wanted to tell. So to me, I watched The Quest and I'm like, oh, I give Van Damme some credit. He really took a shot. He kind of took a genre that he's really good at, the fighting tournament, and I could, even if I don't love the movie, I could be like, good for him. He got to try to make his kind of movie. X vs. Server, I don't know. Nobody's trying to do anything with that movie, but put good-looking people and explosions in the background. Like, there's nothing there.
There's no story. There's no substance to that movie at all. Like, there's not even there's not the Mortal Kombat Annihilation enjoyment.
There's not even a story. Yeah. Me and AJ are not agreeing on this episode.
It's like
so
the
far.
antithesis of a bell curve. It's like the opposite of a bell curve. If something is awesomely bad, it's awesome. If something's average, it sucks. Mm-hmm. If something is awesome, it's awesome. Yeah, so it's like this is such a generic thing that it's like such a boring 5 whatever.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I guess for me, X vs. Server is not even like good bad. It's just bad. Like, I understand like some movies are so bad you can enjoy them. I totally get that. Like Street Fighter, I agree. I could watch Street Fighter and it's bad, but Raul Julia's really hamming it up. There's some, fun stuff in there. I don't think there's anything fun in X vs. Server, but that's just my opinion.
It's average, and that makes it boring. Like, I'd rather something be bad bad and enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that's where you and I just differ. I don't think it's enjoyable bad. But I see what you're saying.
No, that's Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. Yeah, Street Fighter is enjoyable bad. I agree.
Yeah.
X vs. Server, I think, is just bad. Like, even the action's not even good.
So average in every way that it's like, sure, it can score 5 on a metric, but I don't like it.
It's an action movie which I actually saw in theaters. I had no idea going in what it was about. I had never seen a trailer. I had never seen a poster. I only knew it was starring Christian Bale, and I liked American Psycho. Me and my friend went and saw it in theaters, and it was Equilibrium. Yep. And I walked out of theater like, what the F is this movie? Like, where did this come from? I was like, that was freaking awesome. That movie had no PR. It had no advertising. It came out in very few theaters. I just happened to know somebody who was working at the theater at that time, and he got free movies. So we just went and saw it because we had nothing else going on. And that is one of those times where I walked out of theater like, I just found something amazing, and I must tell the world to go watch Equilibrium because that was awesome. Gun Kata.
That happened to me. Like, it's not an action movie, but there was one when same thing. You know, I got to see everything for free, so I watched a lot of movies I never in my right mind would have went to repeat otherwise. And I actually watched. It's a stupid movie. It's not action, but it's a stupid movie. It's called Stick It, the gymnastics movie.
Yeah. A lot of people like that movie.
It is so over the top, like silly and dumb. I'm like, I enjoyed that movie way more than I ever, I'm not saying people run see it in theaters, but if it's on cable, go right ahead and watch it because you'll have a fun time with it.
100%.
I'm pretty sure it's like on like Crackle.
It probably is.
Probably, yeah.
It seems like a Crackle or a Tubi.
I do kind of envy that time because it seems like because we're all so involved in this space, like we know about every movie before it comes out. We know the trailers. Just to be like, oh, I like that guy from that one movie he's in. Yeah. Oh, it's an action movie. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out. And be like, oh, that was great. Now it's like we have expectations for everything. It
doesn't. It's very rare. Like this was early 2000s where you didn't hear about every single thing about a movie before it even started production. I also saw a foreign film at the same movie theater for free, and I would have never watched it. I never saw a trailer for it. And has anybody here seen Brotherhood of the Wolf?
Oh, fuck
I'm aware of it, but I've never seen it.
And I saw it in theaters, and my cinematic mind was blown. I was like, it takes place in the French Revolution. There's Indians who know martial arts. There's like a beast. And I'm just like, those kind of things just don't happen anymore. It's wild. Awesome. It's a really entertaining film. I've had parties at my house where I've just had people come over and watch it and not tell them anything. I'm like, because it's still a film. I think if you're really into foreign films or you're really into action films, you probably have seen it or heard of it, but not a lot of people. I feel like still today, a lot of people have forgotten about it or haven't seen it. It's directed by Christopher Gans, who did the first Silent Hill film.
My version of that is when me and my friend stumbled upon Battle Royale.
Oh, shit.
We were just like, oh, this looks good. Sure. And we're like, let's just start it and see what happens. And then we're like, wait, this is like, or it was like, yeah, this is like Fortnite. No, I'm just kidding. This was before then. We're like, yeah. It was just right when Hunger Games came out. So we were like, okay, it's like Hunger Games, but it's actually.
That's interesting because I feel like Battle Royale, like I was on that pretty early. Like a lot of people, like you could go to like bootleg video stores and you could buy like bootleg versions of it. Like I had a bootleg copy on DVD. The movie Condemned, starring Steve Austin, was basically Battle Royale but with convicts. So when Hunger Games came out, I was like, this is just Battle Royale, but 13. So I feel like I've been on the Battle Royale, but I was in high school. I was really into Asian cinema. I was like in like the late 90s. I was ordering movies from China. It would take 3 weeks to get to my house. So I saw like a lot of foreign. I was really tuned in to especially the Korean, Chinese, and Japanese Hong Kong films of the late 90s and early 2000s. So a lot of these films I think people are discovering much later. I was just really tuned into when I was young because I discovered John Woo in high school, and that was kind of a gateway to everything else in the Asian cinema.
So do you kind of stay tuned in that same way now these days?
Oh, for sure. I never stopped. Never stopped. I love Korean cinema, especially Korean action cinema, has some great films out there.
So it's more comedy, but are you familiar with Extreme Job?
I've seen the trailer, but I never actually saw it.
Oh, damn. There's going to be an American remake of Extreme Job.
I heard about that, yeah.
I don't know what to think about it because that is probably it's one of the funniest like action comedies of the 2010s for me.
Nice.
And
I've heard great things.
So are you guys familiar with Extreme Job, Mike, Juice?
I got it pulled up here, but I haven't.
So essentially, these cops set up a stakeout by setting up a fake chicken restaurant across the street from this entire like mob headquarters thing, and they're supposed to be staking people out. So, but the thing is, they have such good fried chicken that they become the most popular restaurant in the city. Little tiny spoilers. Then they start making all these profits, and they don't know what to do with them, but they know this mob thing that they've been staking out. It's really good. It's fucking
it's that premise has been in other films before. Like I love that premise. The Woody Allen film Small Time Crooks is an example where they basically build like a cookie store to like be a front for robbery. But then the cookies become so popular, like they no longer need to rob the bank because they're like, our cookies are like making so much money. And then it even cuts to them like having this whole enterprise, like they're the new like Miss Fields. And so I think that's a great premise. And I love the fact that they mix it with a mob action kind of film. So I would love to check that out.
It's really fun. It's one of my favorite. I mean, besides, Director Bong, probably my favorite Korean movie that I've seen in.
Have you guys seen The Man from Nowhere?
I need to.
That's it's a loose remake of Man on Fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a guy who befriends a girl. He works at a pawn shop. She gets kidnapped, and what they didn't know is this guy who works at a pawn shop is actually like an military special forces, and he goes on a rampage to try to find her and take everybody out. It's really cool. Got a lot of style. It's a lot, even though it is a loose remake of Man on Fire, it's completely different style-wise. It's much more of a cool kind of action movie than the hyper-kinetic Tony Scott film. So I recommend that. And that's another problem I had with Departed. I saw Infernal Affairs years, at least 2 to 3 years before Departed. And it was like one of my favorite films that year. It's still one of my favorite films. For a lot of people, they see Departed first, and then they watch Infernal Affairs, and they prefer Departed. I think most people that saw Infernal Affairs first prefer Infernal Affairs over Departed. I think it's whatever one you see first. But there's some huge differences.
I saw Infernal Affairs second, and I prefer it.
Good. All right. Well, I'm glad because I don't want to get into spoilers in case you guys haven't seen it, but some of the choices in the original, I just think are so much more interesting than the choices in Scorsese's.
And one thing interesting, what I just searched Infernal Affairs, and it's 101 minutes, and I'm like, the Departed is like over 2 hours. So
it's a lean thriller, man.
Interesting. Yeah,
it's like there's no fat on there. It's like from beginning to end, you're just on a boom, boom, boom. Whereas Departed definitely takes its time and is a little bit more drawn out. But the thing is about Departed, it has some great performances. I mean, you got Jack Nicholson, Leo's great in that movie. So like I could still appreciate The Departed for the performances, but I prefer just the leanness and some of the choices, especially towards the end of the original film.
So The Departed, though, like the TV edit of The Departed, pretty much Mark Wahlberg's entire dialogue is 100%
blah blah blah.
It's hilarious.
It's all different, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing like Casino popped up on like I was at my parents' house or something, and I was like killing some time, and so I saw it was on TV, because obviously you don't have TV here, but like, and then it was like it was like overdubbed Sharon Stone yelling, I'm gonna freaking kill you. Like
we lost AJ. I think I don't know where he went, but he just left. All right, later, AJ.
We'll be back. That happens from time to time. While he's gone, though, one thing I did want to bring up, one of the things you're most famous for is let's drop that sick-ass package, JTE. So, like, obviously, all clips and stuff like that. Like, how did that progress, like, for you? Like, what made you pick the particular clips that you used in that montage? Obviously, that's a great montage. I could watch that montage over and over. But
I believe that montage, so I think it was sent in by a fan. I didn't edit it. But
oh, really?
The funny thing is we actually did edit our own version. And, like, I remember taking a shot at it, and we were just like, oh, it's not bad, but the guy had already made that version, and I think we might have added 1 or 2 clips afterwards, and I might have adjusted it a little bit, but for the most part, that was a fan clip, man. That was great.
Really?
Yeah. And I think I'm trying to remember when exactly that started. I actually can't remember like when we got it. I don't think it was there in the very beginning. Yeah, I remember I was there from day one of movie fights. Even before I worked for Screen Junkies, I was engineering movie fights at a different studio. So I think they had a fan or somebody else make it, and they brought it in like day one, if I remember correctly.
That's awesome. Because I think we all, because you're tied to this, is Bethany, who got tied into it from movie fights.
Yep.
Was AJ, was that your experience too? Movie fights then?
It was movie fights, then schmoes for me.
Yep. That was me, yep.
I was somebody who I got through a Kevin Smith wormhole that brought me to his movie fights, and then I started watching through like a bunch of them, and that's how I got familiar with you when I started Schmodown JTE. And then I went back and watched old Schmo stuff from like Toad Hop and all that. And
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I used to engineer for a while. I engineered Batman, Fat Man on Batman.
Yep.
The show he did with Mark Bernard.
Oh, wow.
I did occasionally.
Yeah, so I did that for Kevin for a while, so I got to know Kevin a little bit. But he was pretty much in, do the show and out. There wasn't a lot of like, hey, hanging out, what's going on. Jason Mewes did a couple shows with us, so I actually got to know him a little bit better and hang around him a little bit more, which was crazy to me because I grew up watching Mallrats and I got a repeat. Like I watched all his movies. I saw them all in theaters, so to actually get to hang out and talk to Jay was kind of crazy for me.
So I hate to ask like Schmodown questions when we don't know what's coming with the next season, but let's say like it's going to be less faction focused next season, right?
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
So if Kevin Smith were to play teams and he were to have a partner of the J variety for active competitors, people who have not announced any retirement, anything like that, who would you want to play for you and blank versus Kevin Smith and Jay Mewes, Jay and Silent Bob?
Who would I mean,
who would you want to partner with to make it fun?
Well, if I'm gonna make it fun, let's throw Tom in the ring. Him and Jay, I think, would be on the same level, and then me and Kevin would be on the same level. So it'd be pretty even. I don't know how good Jay. I don't think Jay's great at trivia. So let Jay and Tom go at it, and me and Kevin will go at it.
Okay, I can see it.
Mewes versus Tom Dagnino.
That's realistic for an exhibition.
In the very first Schmodown tag teams, me and Tom went to the finals.
Right,
we were one question away from beating Mark and Christian. So,
Tom knows some shit. Jay knows some shit. You never know from one day to the next
what it's gonna be. Yeah,
what it's gonna be.
So I like that. I think that's live event worthy right there.
It'd be fun for sure.
Now, speaking of fun, I have something fun planned that I think now will be a good time to transition to. So we're gonna play a little game tonight. And it's a very simple game. This game is called Sly or Arnie. So what I'm going to do is I have a list right now of 10 classic film characters. And it's very simple. I want you, all three of you, to tell me which way you think it would be more entertaining. If the character was played by Sly or if it was played by Arnie. Very simple.
Now, are we talking like who's going to give the better performance or just like who's going to give the best bad performance? Which way do you want us to go at it?
It really doesn't like that. That's kind of like I welcome debate on this. Actually, like,
okay.
I would like to hear your thoughts on both ways. Like,
gotcha.
If we need to throw hands, we'll throw hands.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so let's get this started. All right, so we'll start. I'm going to start with Juice on this one. We'll go Juice, JTE, then AJ. So we're going to start with Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park.
I see that as an Arnie performance. Should I explain now or wait till everyone?
Yeah, give a little explanation.
I just could very much would be more entertained by him kind of delving out all of the God man or what is it, man make whatever, what you know what I'm talking about. I'd be more entertained with him delivering that versus Sly delivering that. That was just what popped in my head.
All right, JTE.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Sly. and I don't want you guys to think I'm a big Sly fan, but I'm really serious with these choices. I'm going Sly because at least I could buy him a little bit closer to being a scientist than Arnold. Arnold, it's hard for me to imagine him being this, coming off as a scientist. And there's the famous Jeff Goldblum shot where he has his shirt off.
Yeah.
If it's Sly, he's more slim and cut. You can almost replace him with Jeff, and I could see that being similar. Whereas if Arnold is laid out with his shirt off, it becomes a comedy. I'm like, what the hell is that? I think it might ruin Jurassic Park a little bit because it's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be
right.
So I'm gonna go Sly on that one. If you wanted just to be ridiculous, of course you go Arnold. But I'm going for what would actually work.
What would actually work? I like that. Perfect. And AJ?
So JTE, you just made this a lot harder for me because how many times has Arnold Schwarzenegger played a scientist?
The Sixth Day, maybe.
The Sixth Day. I mean, you can argue. Total Recall.
No, he's a spy who gets brainwashed. No science.
Maybe I'm. Anyways, he's played a scientist.
Junior is probably the closest.
Junior.
Underrated classic.
This is profession in Jingle All the Way. He's just like an office worker, right?
Yeah, the closest you probably get is True Lies, where his cover is a computer salesman, but he's actually not a computer salesman.
And his profession in Jingle All the Way is cucked by Phil Hartman.
Oh wow, yeah.
But I think I gotta go Sly because, well, yeah, he's got the better delivery there.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's Sly. It's Sly.
The problem with Arnold and Sly is Sly could play the everyday man. Like he could fit into a crowd and be like kind of get lost in the shuffle. Arnold's gonna stick out anytime you try to put him in a normal occupation or situation. Like it's just it's just the way it is. Yeah, he was on an island, scientists and twins. Yeah, but he was the experiment.
So with that in mind, we're going to go a little bit of a different direction with our second character. Mm-hmm. We're going to go to the classic Princess Bride and go Inigo Montoya. You start with JTE on this one.
Man, I feel like I'm going to become prejudiced. I got to give it to Sly. He has the long black hair in Rambo 2 and 3. Like he already has the hair in the 80s for it. And for me, when I think of fencing, I think of movement. I think of kind of grace. Stallone has all that boxing, stuff in him. He could get to choreography really well. You could stab Arnold with one of those toothpick knives, and he's just gonna like snap off in his pec. He's gonna be like that tickled, and then he's gonna pick up the Princess Bride and snap him in half. Like if anything, Arnold would have played Andre the Giant, but I can't see him for Inigo Montoya. I can't see it.
That's fair.
Sly, 100%.
All right, AJ?
Mike, can you look up what year Princess Bride came out?
87.
87. I can say that, yeah.
Okay.
We're talking all-time. We're talking about Arnold and his all-time swole.
Yeah, he's
too old. In 87, I have Arnold's list pulled up just for. He did Predator in 87. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, imagine
Running Man.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. It's not my turn.
I was thinking it was like it's in that time between Predator and Stay Hungry that's like he can't pull it off. He's better suited in the Andre the Giant role, which would be amazing if you had Slice and you go
putting both of them into it. Now we're talking.
The problem is, Arnold's not that tall. I think a lot of people forget that he's not that tall. He looks taller.
He's like 8 inches taller than Sly, though.
I don't think so. I think he's 5'9" or 5'10".
He's
not in the sixes.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger is 6'2", 6'1".
Is he really? Somebody, Juice.
Schwarzenegger's 6'2".
He is 6'2". Wow, I thought he was
Sylvester is
5'9", I think.
5'10". So there's 4 inches. 4 inches.
Okay, that's a Hollywood 5'10".
Yeah.
That's a Hollywood 5'10". So I
Honestly, Arnold would be good as like the six-figured man. Like that's something I'd probably put him against Vigo. Stallone is Inigo Montoya, and like the six-fingered man is Arnold in my book.
So in Brother Lomas's, so to catch you up, JTE, when we have Brother Lomas on the show, he revealed to us that Wallace Shawn has actually been dead for many years.
We didn't know that.
Wallace Shawn.
Who's he?
The inconceivable guy from.
No, he's not. He's not dead, is he?
According to Brother Lomas, he is.
No,
according to Brother Lomas, he is.
Yeah,
what year did
Loomis?
Brother Lomas is in the chat? What year did he die in Lomas's? What year did Lomas see him die or whatever?
I thought he said 2017.
My dinner to Andre's.
Okay. But anyway, I was initial reaction Schwarzenegger for this role too. Not that I'm a bigger Arnie fan than Sly fan. Just for some reason, naturally, I want to go Arnie. But but the voices of reason below me have been, I guess, have swayed me. But it would be, it would still be hilarious for Arnold in this role. But he would have been great. The second choice for Andre.
Here's the one has a foreign accent, and if we have to conceivably dream of either of these two ever doing a foreign accent of any kind, well, it's de facto Schwarzenegger.
All right, so
that's true. That's true.
All right, the next one, I'm gonna go back to a movie we mentioned earlier, and that is the original.
Are you picking winners and losers for each round, or is it just we're debating?
Oh, yeah, we're gonna go with Sly again.
Oh, okay, great.
We're gonna go Sly on that one. So Sly is up 2-0. So we're gonna go back to Mortal Kombat, but it's gonna be Lord Raiden. So the Lambert version of Lord Raiden, played by either Sly or Arnie, and starting with AJ this time.
Oh, it's fucking Arnie. Next.
Okay.
I need a visual.
I don't need to.
Yeah, you don't. I know you don't need a visual.
It's Arnie.
You're talking the 95 one, right?
The 95, yeah.
Make sure. Oh gosh, yeah. I could definitely see that being a Schwarzenegger.
Can you hear my dog snoring in the background?
Just a little bit.
It's adorable.
It's all good.
Where is he? There he is.
But at the same time, there's something hilarious about Sylvester. There's something hilarious about Sylvester Stallone wearing like a big white wig and a big cone hat or whatever. Like Schwarzenegger would definitely pull it off more. I think here's what I pitch: Sylvester Stallone in Mortal Kombat, recast him Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mortal Kombat for Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Recast Raiden for the sequel.
Fuck.
That's good. I like it. JTE, what do you think?
Yeah, this is Arnold for me, man. Literally, he could just tear people in half and have a quip for every time he does a fatality. It's going to be awesome.
I think that'll be fantastic. Honestly.
He's going to tear a guy in half down the middle. And then the team is going to be like, where did so-and-so go? He had to split. It's going to be
it's commando level.
Yeah. It's going to be amazing.
All right. Arnold definitely wins that one. All right. So we're going to go another direction right now. We're going to go to the classic movie Office Space and the character of Milton.
Okay. You're very fuzzy. Your camera is out of focus. Who's starting? Sorry.
Juice on this one.
I would start. This could go either way, because you can kind of picture him being. I haven't seen Office Space for many years, so I can't speak as well as I should. But you could picture. You got Schwarzenegger and Jingle All the Way, kind of the Office type guy. Like you got that. You've got Stallone, but you can see Stallone doing that too. Who could pull off more of the goofy? I think Schwarzenegger could naturally pull off the goofy more, but Stallone, it would be funnier to watch Stallone try to pull off the goofy. So I don't. I'll go Schwarzenegger for it.
Schwarzenegger on that one? Okay. JTE from Milton from Office Space.
Yeah, I'm going Schwarzenegger on this one too. I think Schwarzenegger showed he works. He has a little bit of better record in comedy, and I think his size with like the glasses and the suit will just add another layer of comedy to that role. Somebody being that big and like being foreign and then be so with no confidence and so kind of just weak-willed. I think it would play against stereotype. So I think you got to go Arnold on this one.
Love it. AJ?
Yeah, it's Arnie, but he's also gonna light up a cigar, and that's how he burns down the building. Like that's the only way it has to go down. So Arnie unanimous.
Nice. All right, Arnie unanimous. Okay, so
it's 2-2, right?
Yep, it's 2-2. We're gonna move to the movie A Star Is Born, and Jack, who is played by Bradley Cooper, and I want this one particularly to be about who you want to hear sing the song. Maybe it's time to let the old way die. So start with me.
This is a layup. It's Stallone, baby. Stallone, 100% with his Nighthawk's beard and long hair. Stallone sang the theme song to Paradise Alley, his follow-up to Rocky. He also sang in Rhinestone with Dolly Parton. They're not good, but guess what? I'll take whatever he's doing over whatever Arnold would do. And Stallone, there was a time in the early 90s, late 80s where I think Stallone let his fame go to his head. He has a famous article in Rolling Stone where he talked about how like the fame and like the popularity got to him, and he was kind of an asshole for a couple of years. So I think he could like kind of tap into that for the character role of the Bradley Cooper role. So yeah, and Stallone could do that rugged kind of, I'm drunk. Listen, at the end of the day, I think Stallone's a better actor than he's been nominated for Oscars twice. Arnold's never sniffed the Oscar. Like he's never been close to contention. So for me, I'm going to take the better actor. And again, it would look ridiculous. Arnold trying to sing is ridiculous. And Arnold with that physique, I just don't buy him as a musician at all. So I'm going Sly all the way on this one.
AJ?
Okay. First of all, I think Arnold has probably sniffed many of substances off of an Oscar statue. But
James Cameron's.
Facts. But it's Sly all the way. I was going to go on a Rhinestone rant, but you know what? JTE, he beat me to it. Rhinestone, gotta go watch it. It's a peak of cinema in so many ways that I don't want to tell you about this right now. What you got, Juice?
I was gonna like go like, yeah, it'd be great to see Schwarzenegger sing, but then I remembered
real quick, he does sing in Batman Robin, so that's your reference.
That's true.
But then I'm like, oh, if it's A Star Is Born, then there's a chance for a Frank Stallone cameo.
Yes.
So he gets Sly in there. Maybe a little
plays
far
his
from
brother.
over.
He plays Sam Elliott. Yeah, he's Sam Elliott role.
Yeah.
Got it.
And if Frank Stallone's in the movie, then Tom Dagnino is probably going to end up getting into the movie too.
There you go.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies, doing the motion capture and voice for Gollum.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna go Aragon for a second. Motion capture and voice.
Yeah,
who's going first? I'm sorry, who's going first?
I think it's AJ this time.
Go ahead, AJ.
So, Gollum can kind of more mumble to himself and do his own asides, and for that, I think that it's more of a Sly role if I have to pick between the two, because God, these are getting hard. Like Schwarzenegger hit the peaks of like my precious, like he can do the My Precious thing, but like the mumbling to himself kind of thing, the muttering, like that's Arnie all the way to me.
So you're going Arnie or Sly?
The Sly.
I'm going Sly.
Sly.
Okay.
Yeah. You just said you're going. Okay.
Yeah.
I will go Arnie because Sly, I feel like it'll sound like he's just doing Rocky. He's just go. Whereas I think Arnold, it will be not that it's going to be like a more layered performance, but I think Arnold would tap into some different voices, and there'd be a lot of fun. It would be like when you hear two people doing Arnold impersonations having a conversation with each other versus there's like different every Arnold impression sounds different, but every Sly impression kind of sounds similar. So I think I think Arnold would tap into some different stuff. And he's doing the mocap, so that'd be hilarious. But yeah.
So we're tied 1-1. JP, you got the tiebreaker on this one.
I'm going Arnold. I think his voice is just so different and unique, even more so than Stallone's. I could just hear him be like, "Get to the mountain," like
Okay.
as they're heading towards Mountain Doom.
I just changed my vote. It's unanimous.
So I just think it sounds more unhuman to me, and just I think he'll hit I just think he'll hit different pitches and sounds, and it's gonna be more unique.
All right, so we are now tied 3-3 Arnie. All right, so we're going to do this one. All right, the next one is going to be, there's 2 roles. You're going to tell me who plays which role. And it's very simple. It's Wayne and Garth.
Here we go.
Okay, Wayne and Garth?
Oh, Wayne and Garth?
Wayne and Garth.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Oh, gosh. Okay,
And what we're gonna do for this one, for the vote, I'm gonna say it's whoever gets picked for Wayne is gonna win the round because we're kind of doing a little.
Yeah.
Wayne is gonna be the winner.
I think I would do. I would like to ponder this for a long time, but since it's a podcast, I will. I will go Sly for Wayne and Arnie for Garth because obviously Wayne does most of the acting and we have established, but I'm also just thinking for hair, the black, this is me as a massive Wayne's World fan. It's like the black wig is just going to play off of Sly.
Yeah.
Is so much more in the blonde for Arnie. So I think Sly could pull off Wayne. I don't think, I don't think anyone could pull off Wayne except for Mike Myers and Dana Carvey. But
yeah, I agree with you. I would go Sly for Wayne. I think Garth is kind of quiet and kind of outsider, and I think you used him being a foreigner could almost play into that. And I just think Stallone would just do a better job as kind of like the more cocky, kind of sure-headed guy. And I'd recast the girl from Rambo First Blood Part 2 as Tia Carrere, just so we get another Asian in a role, and they've worked together before.
So
he left.
I think Mike is disconnected.
He just disgusted by our picks.
We're going to
he changed cameras, but he has to take the old webcam off. There we go.
So the Foxy scene with you can't do that with anybody else besides Dana Carvey or Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Arnold would do that good.
That's just a fact. It's Arnie. It's unanimous.
All right, very cool. I'm just changing one thing real quick. Okay, I think I'm better now.
There you go.
All right, perfect. So we're going to move on to our next one. We're going to go another completely different direction. The role of Forrest Gump.
Who goes first?
This is round 8.
I think this is JTE, I think.
JTE, yep.
This is tougher than...
Yeah.
I'm going to go Stallone. Because I think Rocky, he comes off as kind of slow. A lot of people make fun of him. I think that his accent and the way he speaks could kind of work closer to what Forrest Gump is doing and Tom Hanks is doing in that movie. Whereas I think if Arnold does it, he just sounds like a foreigner. He doesn't sound like, he's that slow. I think the body type again, I think is working not in Arnold's favor. I think Forrest Gump would just stick out. Whereas, Stallone played high school football. Like I could see him playing a football player. He played a soccer player in Victory. I could see him kind of just playing that role. It might not be a Southerner, but whatever they're going to ask for, I think Stallone is closer. He has his tools of acting are more equipped for what needs to happen to Forrest Gump than I believe. I mean, and he goes to Vietnam in the movie. Stallone, come on, this is Rambo. He knows all about that. I think he would fit into that war section perfectly.
All right, so we got a slice. So let's go to AJ.
And don't get me. I'm trying to remember the movie, but didn't Stallone play Cajun in a movie? Stallone, JT, do you know?
A Cajun.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Not that I can remember. What? Give me something else besides that he was a Cajun. You're thinking are you thinking Jean-Claude Van Damme and Hard Target? Like I don't know.
No. I think maybe it was over the top that he was from Louisiana.
I don't know if he was in Lincoln Hawk. He belonged to the road.
He
was a trucker. I don't know if they ever said where he was from.
But you don't not believe that, right? Like you don't if I told you,
I don't remember Stallone ever having a Southern accent in any movie.
If I told you Lincoln Hawk was Cajun, you'd be like, yeah, sure, right?
I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So for that reason, I'm gonna go. Yeah, probably for playing Southern, I'm gonna go Stallone.
I wonder if I'm gonna Google where Lincoln Hawk was from.
And Juice, just for, Sly's gonna win the round. But for what do you like?
Sly will win, but I think I actually will go Arnold for this one because I think what would end up happening is Arnold goes to Vietnam. And it basically is going to turn into an action movie, and he takes over, and it basically turns into Predator. It turns into Arnold doesn't go to Vietnam and come back without at least just leading an army of just a massacre on, and probably they'd end up winning the war and then changes history. So I'd like to see that reboot of Forrest Gump with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he has them win the war, and we get to see what ends up happening if America won Vietnam.
So it's like Schwarzenegger and Forrest Gump, but it's like Mel Gibson and the Patriot.
Yes,
nice.
I can't find anything online about where Lincoln Hawk is from.
We're gonna say it's Baton Rouge.
All right. So while JT's just go last the next round, we're gonna go to our ninth one. This could potentially determine it. I have two names left on here. I'm gonna go Ricky Bobby.
Whose turn is it?
AJ.
Okay.
Ricky Bobby. Okay, that's a Schwarzenegger role. That is I'm going to wink at the camera and I'm going to fuck with this movie as much as possible. We're going to have some outtakes. We're going to have some cigars. My friend John Bon Jovi's going to show up on set, return the favor that wasn't Batman and Robin. I think that's a Schwarzenegger role. I think that he's funnier. On average, and it's a pure comedy role. So yeah, America's all about speed, hot, nasty, badass speed. Eleanor Roosevelt.
Nice. Juice.
So you just went Schwarzenegger, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna actually go Stallone because I think that John C. Reilly and Schwarzenegger going at it. Be good, but I think you lose a lot of John C. Reilly's character. So I'm going to go Stallone because I think Stallone could play a little better the straight than you have the John C. Reilly to jump over top of it. I feel like Arnold and John C. Reilly would be jumping at each other, whereas you could just let John C. Reilly just shine in his glory of being a supporting actor, and then you could just dive full in with Stallone.
When you just said that there, I just have in my head, just when you said that, the image of John C. Reilly and Sylvester Stallone playing with G.I. Joes. That just entered my head, and that's going to be in my head for the rest of the night. JTE, you got the tiebreaker on this one.
I'll be honest. My initial thought was Arnold, but the more I think about it, Ricky Bobby is all about USA, number one. He's all about America. So I'm going to give it to Stallone because I think he could. I think Juice made a great point. John C. Reilly could really bounce off him better. Mm. And if anything, I'm recasting Sacha Baron Cohen as Arnold. And Arnold's the foreigner because the whole thing is about he's America, USA, and this foreigner comes in and tries to beat him, and I would have that be Arnold. He'd be like, "Come on, let's go." He's like, so I think that would be a great dynamic. Stallone playing Ricky Bobby, and Sacha Baron Cohen being replaced by Arnold.
And if that happens, we need two things. One, the crepes thing from Sacha Baron Cohen, and two, we need a Rambo with a Rambo knife and headband stabbing his own leg, saying he's paralyzed.
Gotcha.
Now I'm just picturing watching Arnold and Andy Richter just walking.
Oh yeah,
and the two of them holding hands and walking off.
That would be hilarious, wouldn't it? I think Arnold would actually be able to play that really well.
Yeah.
So Sly is going to win this, but I have one more name on here. We'll do it just for fun.
Okay.
Sly definitely has one, but the last name I had on this is Doc Brown.
Oh fuck! That's definitely Arnold.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's Arnold.
Yeah.
Mad German scientist, 100%.
No, not mad German scientist. We're not that kind of channel.
What? He's not German?
No,
Arnold's
Austrian.
Austrian.
Wait, that's worse.
Yeah.
That's worse. Actually.
Yeah, it's actually worse. But I can totally see like a Tesla kind of type character.
Every line that Doc Brown has ever delivered sounds better in a Schwarzenegger voice than a Sly voice.
And it makes more sense when like the Iranians show up with their plutonium. Arnold might actually fight back a little bit.
Yeah.
The Brazilians show up, and it's like, well, they know where I'm from.
Right, because doesn't it basically he gets Doc? Man, gosh, I need to rewatch Back to the Future. He gets like basically shot down, right?
Machine gunned, yeah.
Yeah, so you have Arnold fight back, and it's a massive action scene, and it ends with him getting blown up or something.
Oh no! Every part of either of this gets really bad.
I need this, and I need Forrest Gump with Arnie.
This is fun. We're going to have to do this more often with the recasting because I'm actually very much enjoying this tonight. It's the first time we've done this JT, by the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
This has been a real fun stream. We've just gotten past the hour mark, so I think we'll start wrapping up a little bit. So, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. JTE, I'll let you plug anything you have going on right now.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter at JTE Movie Thinks. Getting ready for the next season of the Schmodown. Last season was awesome. Even if we didn't win the whole thing, it was still just a great season. Yeah. The Fifth Star Exchange was just awesome. Spectacular was awesome. I'm excited for all the changes and all the new matches of next season. I'm excited for it all.
Very, very cool. AJ, what do you got going on?
So we got What the Show going on, as we all know. We also have the continuation of the Air Bud Cinematic Universe podcast, where we go through the 14 films of Air Bud, as well as anything from Robert Vince, the creator of that universe, and a potential Nicolas Cage film by film podcast called The Cage Match, which might be launching in February.
Nice. Juice?
I'll plug next week's show.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm excited to announce. So I just changed my name to Juice Harvey because we are bringing back Family Feud on the What the Show channel. We are going to be doing What the Show 80s and 90s themed Family Feud in honor of the death of the legend Bob Saget this month. And we are going to be bringing on 3 guests from Call to Action to face the other 3 members of What the Show, and that is going to be Paul Louis Denuzio, Danny Ramirez, and I'm very excited for Billy Belford to be on the channel as well. I can't remember if he's been on the channel besides just like a big stream.
He's been on like the fantasy football draft,
like the fantasy stuff, but I don't think he's ever
I don't think he's actually done an actual stream yet.
So I'm excited for that. So that's going to be great. So if you're in the, I'm going to be reaching out this week I just finished up the questions, and I'm going to be sending out survey questions. All the Family Feud does surveys. So I'm going to be surveying basically everyone that's in the Schmodown like community. So anyone in the fan, groups and all that stuff, and competitors, right. So, so it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. I can't wait for it. But other than that, like, it was really awesome to meet you, JT, in Los Angeles. I
was going to say we met before this.
Yeah, right.
I thought you were going to say right now.
Exactly. Which is crazy. So it was so cool to be a bit of a part. Right. We didn't win. Very unfortunate, but it was still very cool to just, to meet all of you and be around and feel like part of the team, which was I'm, as a massive fan of the team, to like feel like I'm part of it too is just a dream come true kind of a thing. So awesome. Thank you. And keep on doing it.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate what you said. To you, JT, thank you so much for coming on tonight. You were an absolute joy to us in Los Angeles, and we definitely needed to bring you on the show. We talked about it that night. But everything you've done with the channel, especially when you did the movie fight speed round debate, it was fantastic. Come on tonight. You're always welcome whenever you'd like to join on. You should just shoot us on and just crash a stream if you want. You're all good with that. But we'll be back next week, like we said, with the Family Feud version of What the Show. That'll be on next Wednesday. We just and on my end, if you have not seen it yet, Bethany and I recently just did our most recent. We haven't done one in a long time, but we did our most recent drunk review of Too Fast, Too Furious. So that is available on the channel right now. If you want to check that out, by all means, our good friend John Lastrina, the expert of Fast and Furious, joined us for that. So, that is on the channel right now. So check that out. And with that, I think we are going to sign off for the night. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, JTE. And we will see you next week.